We'll proceed with the rest of the program. Thank you. First up, we are going to hear from Christiana Mimi. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Buongiorno, signore e signori. I'm Cristiana, and I'm here on behalf of Concetta. Now you know about her. Tabo told you about this incredible woman. So he would like me to talk about me, but I'm not very interested in talking about me, Tabo. Sorry, so I'll just say a few words that I'm Italian, as you can hear. I grew up in Italy. I spent there 28 years of my life. Then I moved to Kenya, and I spent 9 years there. I got married. I had 2 children. And then we moved to South Africa 12 years ago in 2010. With my family, we opened a small Italian restaurant. Then I was working a bit in the fashion industry. And then now that finally South Africa gave me the permanent residency, I work at the Italian Cultural Institute. So first of all, I would like to thank Tabo on behalf of Concetta for this opportunity. To thank you, Tabo, for allowing her basically to talk through me. She's super fond of Tabo, like you can imagine. And actually, one of the very first persons that I wanted to meet when I moved to South Africa was Concetta. Since my husband is Italian, but from Eritrea, Ethiopia, his family is from these 2 countries, and Concetta as well. So when he came for a trip, we were living in Kenya, he came to South Africa for a short trip, a business trip. His mother told him, you should meet this incredible woman. She's a medium, she's super powerful, very gentle, so please go and see her. And actually he did. He did so, and he was very touched. He had a private session with her, and he was super impressed. He came back to Kenya and told me, Kri, people call me Kri, you must absolutely meet this woman if you have the chance one day when you go to South Africa. And actually, I had to wait 5-6 years before we finally moved to this country. And I was supposed to see her once, to have a private session with her. And actually, I was never able to leave her. Like Tabo. I guess Tabo was supposed to meet her only one time, and after 15 years here, we are still seeing her. I was really impressed by her gentleness, by her modesty, and by the power that this small, old and sick Italian woman had to communicate to the spirit world, that I simply could not leave her. So basically, almost every Sunday since that day of 2010, I went there, and I was shocked by the amount of material that she had, that she collected through the years. Let me briefly explain how it works. Maybe most of you know what a medium is, but there are medium that write, they can communicate to the other world and they write. Some medium hear voices, and her, actually, she channels. So basically the spirits enter her body and speak through her. So she doesn't remember what she says. And that's why she records every session, and then she transcribes she transcribes the sessions. So when I met her, she already had, imagine 20 years of this journey. She collected a huge amount of material. And I told her that for me it was like wasted, because Concetta is not known. She doesn't do this for the money. She doesn't want a cent for helping people. She says, I've got a gift and I have to give it back. So basically, I said, so what? What do we do now? Only few people know you. And all this material is so interesting, so important for the humanity, I would say. And she said, yes, actually, Kri, I'm supposed to write a book. This is what the souls tell me. But I'm too sick and too old to do that. And also, I knew that soon the day that she wouldn't be able to see people in person would come because of her Parkinson's disease. And actually, that day sadly has come. So now she cannot receive people anymore. She can't help them one by one. So anyway, long story short, I took on the task, and in 2015, we self-published the first book, This Is Why I'm Not Afraid, whose translation in English was gently and generously paid by Tabo. So this is the English version of the book that contains a bit of the story of an introduction of Concetta's life and her journey to become a medium, because it was something that she was not looking for, totally unexpected, and it happened only when her husband died. And then there are lots of answers to the universal questions that I guess every human being, as human beings ask since the dawn of time: why we are here, what happens when we die, why we choose to suffer or to be happy in this life, and so on and so forth. Plus a very important revelation for South Africa. So then, since this happened in 2015, and I kept going and kept seeing her, I decided to collect this other material. And we published again last year another book called Batterdali in Italian, which is In the Blink of an Eye in English. And this contains different messages, again, messages for all of us. But I also took the liberty to ask the spirits something that I was curious about personally, like the COVID thing, the COVID pandemic, sorry, the 9/11, Israel, Palestine, Moria. Most of you might know what Moria is, and the existence of aliens. I mean, lots of things that I was really curious about. And I have to say that Concetta is really by far the most powerful medium I met in my life, and I met many. And the spirits answered basically almost all my questions, very gently, very patiently. They answered, apart from few of them, and they told me that there are a few mysteries in our lives that must remain such. So, but very few, I have to say. Now, Thabo and Concetta, what a strange combination. It's a bizarre pair. An old Italian psychic and a South African man. And actually, you are the only African man who saw Concetta all these years. I don't know why. If actually, they're the only African who saw her. I don't know why, but this is it. And she started to tell me about Thabo as soon as I met her. So we are talking about 2010, 12 years ago. Thabo here, Thabo there, Thabo this and that. He's such a great man. She loved him. And so I had to wait still, I think, 5-6 years more before meeting him. I met him only 4 years ago at Thabo, 4, 5, something like that. And it was like friendship at first sight. And I know that Thabo was a bit reluctant to talk about Concetta today. It was obviously something about his book and Sarah Bartman, but we know that lots of people don't believe in mediums and in the other world, in the spirit world, but I told him I think I still needed to say something anyways, because what does it matter if people don't believe us? After all, this is your story, Thabo, and for me it's an incredible story. And you, as, like you said, wouldn't be here if it was not for Concetta. And for the first encounter you had with her and all the messages that she sent to you over these 15 years. In fact, I have to say that everything that surrounds Thabo is incredible. For me, is extraordinary. Like I told you one day at Thabo, your childhood, your life, your professional life, your huge family, the way you raised your children, and everything that surrounds you is incredible, is not really out of the ordinary. And this book as well, what an achievement. Like Bruce said, what passion, dedication, study and research he put in it. And so it's not only a book about Sarah Bartman, but it teaches us lots of things. And I really believe it's a book that should be read by everyone in this planet, and especially every student. It should be studied by every student because it teaches history in a fun way, in a nice way, let's say, pleasant, less boring than they study at school. Lastly, I'm finished. Just few words about Thabo from our beloved Concetta, who couldn't be here, although she's here with her soul. Here it is. Dear Thabo, I'm pleased and excited for the launch of your book. I remember some time ago when I told you that you would write a book, your answer was, I will never be able to write a book, Concetta. You have been too humble, Thabo. Not only you have written a book, but you wrote a true masterpiece. For years, you have dedicated yourself to this book. You've traveled around the world to learn more and more about Napoleon and Sarah, whose story you reported historically correct. And you use your fantasy only to put it together and created the very interesting conversations that make the readers think. I don't want to take much of your time today. I only want to tell you, go ahead, my friend. God is with the righteous man. God is with you. Grazie.
Thank you very much, Christiana. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us give a warm welcome to Peo Signola, who is now going to address us.
Greetings to you all. I would like to first start by thanking my father and everyone who is involved in organizing this event for the opportunity to stand in front of you guys today. I'd like to thank each and every single person who managed to come here today. It really is a special day for my family, my father, myself, and all of our friends and associates. Today, I just want to start by telling 2 stories. Nothing hectic, just 2 stories. The first story is about my father as an innovator, a creative, and entrepreneur. If you Google Thabo Signola, on the first page, you will see the success that he has had in the industry. You will see how he was the first African quantity surveyor from the University of Witwatersrand. You will see all the organizations that he formed and that he was a part of that helped disadvantaged communities. You'll see the wide range of projects that he was involved in that stemmed throughout all industries, which is nothing but amazing and inspiring. The story I want to tell, though, is about how he wanted to instill that level of achievement in all of us, all of his children, that is. From a young age, I remember when I was 6 years old, entering my father's office for the first time, to my knowledge, on a Saturday to take part in a mathematics session that was allocated to last for the next 6 hours or so. Prior to me arriving there, I already was very nervous about how that whole experience would be. My siblings had already told me what work we'd be doing, and they already informed me that we would be doing work that was a grade above or 2 that the grade we were actually in school. So you can only imagine, as a first grader, going into a Saturday session for mathematics and doing work that is a grade ahead or 2. And then to top it all off, I remember my siblings informing me that the person who was heading all these sessions was Dr. Kambule, who is a former leading mathematics educator at the University of Witwatersrand and a recipient of an honorary doctorate from the University of Pretoria, amongst other accolades. In my head, all I could think of in my little brain at the time was, is Papa trying to kill us? I remember my brother waking me up at 6:30 in the morning so that we could join the rest of my siblings in the kitchen to have my mom's Uncle Oats. At least that made the situation light, as that was my favorite meal. But everything after that was just stomach rumbling. We had to be there by 8 o'clock, and me and my group of siblings entered my dad's Land Rover at the back, and we were on our way. When we got to the office, upon my first few steps of entry, the first thing that I could see was a picture of Albert Einstein on the wall, with him sticking his tongue out. At first, I didn't know who Albert Einstein was, and I didn't understand why he was on the wall. I remember asking my brother, who is that guy and why is he on the wall? My brother said to me, that is Albert Einstein. He's a genius, and my dad put him on the wall because he wants you to one day, and all of us, become geniuses. Then I turned to my sister, I'm like, what is a genius? As the days and months and years progressed, we could see directly how those Saturday sessions were affecting our schoolwork. I remember my father discussing with Dr. Kambule what grades we were all in and what the curriculum of the day was. What stood out for me was the passion and glow in my father's eyes as he saw all of us, and he seemed very excited about the events that were shortly about to follow. I could see from the schools that we went from Monday to Friday how that method clearly put us a step or 2 ahead of our peers due to the work that was done by my father and the help that he put in this regard from a very young age. All those years showed me how my father valued excellence and perfection through all the things he has done, and to the extent he wanted that for his children as well.